This program is brought to you by Fast Signs of Durango. More than fast, more than signs. Fast Signs.
The Durango train has never lost a passenger in its 135-year history of traveling to Silverton. But it's said that the ghost of employees who died in fatal accidents over the years and another who was murdered on the job lurk in the nighttime shadows of the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. You'll have a chance to find out whether the stories are real on a new special ghost tour with 33-year train employee and museum curator Jeff Ellingson. The tours will be offered each month on the night of the full moon, with the first scheduled for Monday, August 7th, starting at 8:30 p.m. at the train depot.
People are really attracted to going through an old rail yard at night and seeing the shadowy windows of the old passenger cars, and you can kind of think of what it used to be like when people traveled, and sometimes you might catch a glimpse of the past that's still here. And that's what we're going to do with these folks that come and take this tour. We're going to actually explore the yard, and we're going to see what we can see.
The tour will explore the yard, the roundhouse, and the 4,800 artifacts found at the museum. It ends at the old sleeper car that once transported immigrant families seeking their fortunes in the mines, and it's one of the only one of its kind left in the United States. After the car's retirement in 1900, it was used on a rescue train that carried passengers injured in train wrecks back to civilization. It was on one such rescue mission in 1937 when a fatal brawl occurred on board, leaving one man dead. Ellingson sits in its gloomy lights of the old sleeper car as he tells us what happened.
In 1937 was one of the firemen that was being dispatched to the wreck and this train. He decided to bring his girlfriend along, and she was a 15-year-old prostitute named Kate. And it was a bad idea. When you go into the wilderness with 60 men and just one very cute little girl who had the profession that she had, there wasn't just the firemen that had an interest for her. There was many men, and actually a full-on brawl broke out in this car over her, and the firemen ended up getting stabbed to death by a brakeman right in that doorway there. And Kate was brokenhearted. She was literally in love with the fireman, and then she later took her own life 1 year later. And to this day, her energy seems to still be here. A lot of people get pictures of her in this car, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Ellingson believes that Kate still haunts the sleeper car where her lover was killed, and she seeks revenge on his murderer. Apparently, the railroad leadership at the time covered up the incident, and the brakeman was never prosecuted.
I've never seen Kate. I've never seen what kids talk about, but I have heard 2 or 3 times and these kids have never heard of her, don't even know anything about this car. They're tourists. They're 7, 8 years old, but they'll come running over to my desk and they'll say something like, "Hey, mister, I thought there wasn't anybody allowed in that green car back there." And I'll say, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, there was a lady standing in the doorway and she waved at me and then went back in the car." And I'll be, okay, so I'll run back here right away with that child and we'll look, and there won't be anybody here. And they'll swear up and down there was.
Ellingson recommends reservations by emailing him at eellison@durangotrain.com.